you're gonna be turning 30 in a couple of months.
Whoa, slow down. I don't have to rush to get there. Let's take our time.
It's a significant milestone, my bro.
You can get lost in the sauce if you don't know where your boundaries are. If you are enjoying the sauce for the wrong reasons, that's also not a good place to be in.
I like to enjoy the sauce, my bro.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not gonna lie, I like to enjoy the sauce.
I know.
And everything in moderation, right?
In moderation.
I think there's been instances where I've had to learn the hard way that actually this isn't you. Relationships is probably the biggest thing that comes to the forefront of my mind. It's like, actually, I like peace. I prefer peace. I don't like
You don't want war,
chaos.
always.
Yeah, I don't like chaos. I must say, you don't look like you're getting close to 30, man.
thank you.
I hope people in the comments can agree with me.
Yeah,
But,
no Botox.
no Botox.
No, this is just all nice melanin, man.
Age is nothing but a number. Welcome back to Teddy Talks. Teddy Suarez here. I'm joined by my brother Sydney Suarez, and we are going to be discussing the road to turning 30. We're getting close to that big 3-0. I feel like 29, didn't really feel it. When was my birthday now? April, feels like a long time ago. And now you're going to be turning 30 in a couple of months.
Whoa, slow down. I don't have to rush to get there. Let's take our time.
It's a significant milestone, my bro.
It is. I mean, where's this decade gone?
Yeah.
There's been a lot of experience, a lot of life lessons, a lot of growth.
Did you feel the impact of the milestone of 20? 10 to 20? Were you thinking as a 15, let's say the halfway mark, 15, 16-year-old thinking, I'm about to turn 20, I'm excited, I'm gassed.
I'm just thinking about, what was I thinking about when I was 15, 16? I mean, at that time, I was taking my GCSEs, right? So I was looking at what's next, starting my A-levels and start thinking about the career that I want to build for myself.
So you're already building a picture of your life at such a young age. Yeah, I feel that.
I had a very forward-thinking view about where I wanted to take things.
Do you think many people have that view, or do you think that was purely circumstantial? Because from where I'm sat, I could probably say in my own, like you, we were in the same boat in that sense. I'm feeling like we have to build a perfect picture. Well, I wouldn't say perfect picture, but we have to build a picture around what life looks like because we haven't got a father. We're looking at mommy, working extremely hard, really, really putting in a shift to make sure that either there's food on the table or, we're still enjoying life. We're still happy at home. The home is still something that I think we discussed with Connie a while ago when he was here with us, and he was saying that he felt like he was rich. Mommy gave us that feeling. So, we wanted to kind of return the favor and get to work as soon as possible, make the bucks as soon as possible, so we can make sure that mommy gets a bit of a relaxation. You hear that, mommy?
No, your rest is coming very soon.
So what do you think gave you the impetus to kind of think of that bigger picture?
I think you spoke to one of the reasons eloquently just now about Daddy passing away left a huge dent in our lives, and it made me want to step up. And part of stepping up is becoming, turning from a boy to a man. What does that even mean? It means I've got to acquire some new skills. I got to go through some experiences. I have to think about strategically how to manage my finances so that things can drop at the right time. when I was dreaming about buying my first place, I got to think about, okay, how do I handle my commission to make sure that I'm stacking up in the right way, whilst also being able to enjoy some of the finer things that we shouldn't always be enjoying, but sometimes we enjoy it. And I think, turning 20,
Why'd you say we shouldn't be enjoying some of the finer things? Why'd you say that?
because it's dangerous. I think sometimes you can get lost in the sauce if you don't know where your boundaries are.
Yeah.
And if you are enjoying the sauce for the wrong reasons, that's also not a good place to be in.
I like to enjoy the sauce, my bro.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not gonna lie, I like to enjoy the sauce.
I know.
And I want to just say, like, as you were saying that, I was thinking it doesn't sound so bad to enjoy the sauce.
Everything
in moderation, right?
In moderation.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's. I always like to say life is for living, and even though you're getting close to 30, I must say you don't look like you're getting close to 30.
Oh, thank you.
I hope people in the comments can agree with me.
Yeah,
But,
no Botox, anything like that.
No Botox?
Nah, this is
I thought you had Botox, you know?
this is just all nice melanin, man.
No, I'm joking. I know you obviously didn't have Botox, but yeah, the skin's glowing.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, I get a few tips, from a certain someone.
Is it?
Yeah.
Who's that?
I don't know. You might be in this room somewhere. We don't know. But yeah,
if you need help with your skincare routine, let me know.
It's
part of the road to 30. I don't know if you're getting close to it. I mean, to be honest, I think going back to what you were talking about, it's a significant milestone, I think, for so many different cultures, so many different societies, so many different economies, and the biggest thing I can think of is what we're all in control of. What we would like to talk about in the past is obviously not worrying about things we can't control, and obviously time and aging is something that we can't control. But I really do feel like we can control what happens in between that time. We are in control of the decisions that we make that allow us to say whether or not coming up to 30, leading up to 30, leading up to 40, leading up to 50, and so on, God willing. We can really look at the decade and say, we've either lived, or we've either really worked extremely hard, or to the bottom line, we've actually set out what we actually wanted to do. Because I think for the most part, the pressure that we put on ourselves is forgetting that actually I wanted to be in this position right now. I wanted to be enjoying myself. I wanted to travel the world. Not get back and think, oh my God, I haven't worked really hard. I haven't done anything with myself. But actually, you set out to want to travel the world. Have you achieved it? Yes. Have you not? Okay, why not? That's maybe something that you can put a little bit of pressure on yourself and say, actually, I didn't quite achieve X, Y, Z. But I kind of feel like, for the most part, when we have a goal in mind, I really want to become the best salesperson within my team, let's say. We tend to forget the things in between, the process, which is, I think, what we talked about last week. We forget about the process. We forget about the importance of the journey. And I kind of feel like where you're at the moment, not quite myself, I still got a couple of months. I still got a couple of months to savor, but where you're at the moment, how do you feel about your journey right now and where you sit? Is Sydney Suarez here, Teddy Talks, and everything else in between that you're experiencing in your life leading up to 30?
What I've picked up in life is that goalposts do change over time, and as you were talking there, it reminded me of one of the principles is NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, is around reframing. And I feel like over time, I've reframed a lot of my expectations. And I think that's also part of maturing. What does it actually mean to be successful? Like, how am I actually spending my days? What am I doing that I enjoy? You know, like now, I'm making a lot more music than I ever did. And that's something that I fell in love with when I was younger, but now I'm exploring it whilst I'm you know, almost a 30-year-old man.
Yeah.
And it's just like having the confidence to go out and do the things that you really want to do.
Does that make you happy?
That makes me happy. That makes me very happy. And I think that's also connected to understanding what your purpose is. Okay, understand the journey of turning of being a 20-year-old and becoming a 30-year-old. You know, there's a lot happens between that time. Like you go into relationships, you know, you go into heartbreaks, and you change vocations. You might change jobs. You might lose some loved ones. You know, there's a lot of things that happen in this chapter that can also defeat you. And also it's in those moments as well where, as you get older, you have to learn to zoom out.
Incredibly powerful.
Yeah, what's happening to you like right now? You know, you might be feeling a really strong, intense emotion about what you're feeling. But what do you feel about those feelings when you zoom out? Where does that fit in? You know,
when you say you zoom out, does that essentially mean that you're kind of looking at a situation as to how important is it to you in that moment? Is that what you mean by when you're zooming out?
How important is it to me in the context of my entire life?
Because I think there's a lot of pressure that's put on aging in general, which I understand it. I kind of think, I remember when I was younger, maybe I'd say maybe around, in my teens, by the time I'm 20, I'm going to be a millionaire. You know? Obviously, when you're younger, I think your expectation for things, you kind of, you can say you're gonna, you know, you can be a little 5-year-old saying that you want to be an astronaut, or you want to, you know, go on the moon or do something wacky and wonderful. And as you get older, you kind of ignore the fact that these things don't happen to a certain extent. But then there's like a threshold. Something changes. I don't know where that is within the age scale, but something changes where certain expectations that you have, and you say things, you know, I want to get promoted within the next 5 years. That thing doesn't happen. And suddenly, mentally, there's so much weight on that thing that didn't happen. And, you know, it sends you down this rabbit hole of thinking that you're not good enough. It makes you think that, you know, oh, if this doesn't happen, this then means that, I don't know, perhaps I can't get married, I can't have a family, I can't start a family. Because something that I know when we were discussing the other day, just in private circumstances, we were talking about the fact that there was a few icons around us in the world of today that, you know, don't necessarily have the whole package. They might have, you know, they might have a child and they're not married necessarily, or they're not even in relationships in some instances. The term baby mums is something that's really prevalent, I feel like, within our era, and I don't necessarily remember when we were 20 years ago, let's say, that term ever existed. Maybe because we were younger, but I don't. You hear it a lot more in rap, you hear it a lot more in lyrics, you hear it a lot more in just certain circumstances on social media. Um, and it's like, is that a societal thing where people think that, you know, you put pressure on one thing, but you think that there's so much pressure that everything else is around you is in chaos? Why is that why is that a thing that happens nowadays? We look at other people's situations and we think either I'm fine, I'm okay, don't worry, there's nothing to worry about, or you look at other people's situations and you think, damn, I'm not doing good enough.
I think it's like you said, society has changed. You know, we live in the era where we're seeing what everyone's getting up to on Instagram. You know, back in the day when our parents were growing up, you would only know what's happening within your community unless like you call back home and you catch up with your folks back home.
That's right.
But now, you know, you can see your friends getting married. You can see your friends having children, and you know, if you're in a place where you're feeling insecure about your situation, you know, it's right in front of you by a click of a button. And I think because we're hit with so much, you know, comparisons every day. You know, how do I look in compared to this person? Like this person's got a better body than me, or this person's they've got more money than me, or you know, they're more outgoing. That doesn't happen. That wasn't happening before the age of social media. You know, we would be looking up to the leaders within our communities, and be like, okay, who's the front runner within the community, and how can we be just as good as them?
That's it. And it's the competitive streak as well. Like it's I saw a video Kevin Hart put out fairly recently about not worrying about what other people think, not worrying about, people are too focused on zooming in on other people and somehow correlate it to their own situation. I think it was in the context of someone asking him about him in the gym. And it was like, oh, why are you worrying about what I'm doing in the gym? Worry about what you're doing in the gym. Like, what's going on here? And it's like in the context of life, it's I understand the similarities. It's like people are so quick to jump on. All right, we're in summer right now. Oh my goodness, everyone's on holiday. Everyone's in Mykonos, or everyone's in. There was a phase of everyone going to LA. Everyone's doing this. Everyone's doing that. I've got to go to this place. I've got to do this. I think that's so dangerous because you can go to this place and be hella disappointed. You can be so disappointed with the fact that you would have gone to this place that you saw on Instagram, and actually it's a case of Instagram versus reality, and actually it's not quite what you wanted. You might have wanted something more tropical and exotic.
Have you ever been disappointed
in a destination that I've gone to?
Yeah.
No, I don't think I have. I think most destinations I've gone to, even if it's rained, actually. I think I have in one circumstance, but it was where there's a lot of arguing going on and there's just a lot of negativity around that holiday in general, but it had nothing to do with the place. Generally, when I'm in a new location somewhere that's outside of my environment, my bro, I feel as though it's like you're experiencing something that you're almost like your body always wanted to venture out. Your body always wanted to smell a new breath of fresh air and experience a new energy, experience new social norms, experience what this world has created for itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
In its own weird ecosystem. So I kind of feel like whenever you go to a new location, it's got to be for your own reason. Like it's got to be, if you are going through a midlife crisis and you want to go to another location because, you know, I don't know why I'm picking out a midlife crisis. It doesn't necessarily have to be a midlife crisis. But if you want to go to a new location and for whatever reason it's because, you know, you've been through a lot of stress, you've been through a lot of pressures, you know, life is lifing, then you need to get out, you need a break. Surely that's got to be for you, not because you're on Instagram and you see XYZ person and there's a bit of FOMO there, right? Like, because as I said, if there's a bit of disappointment around the fact that, I don't know, for whatever reason, financially, you may not be able to afford the same sort of locations that you would have seen on this person's Instagram page, or for whatever reason, you know, I remember in our own situation, when we went to Australia, there were so many places that I looked at even on Google where I'm disappointed because, we needed to book 4 weeks in advance, right? Small things like that. Clearly, I didn't have the, you know, the pattern out in Australia for those restaurants, and you know, we need to get that sorted. But
Yeah, we'll sort that out for round 2.
But I feel like when it comes to the expectation of being, aging and comparing yourself to other societal norms, we need to be very careful with looking at people in our age groups, in our age brackets, and comparing ourselves to the next door neighbor or the person on social media, person at work. I do think comparisons where you are looking to improve, to excel, to learn, to get something from someone because actually they could be a bit of a mentor for you, is a different circumstance. You know, so like my sales director's talking to me about skiing and I'm like, oh, that sounds really good. I'd love to be in a chalet. I've always wanted to do something adventurous like that. It's not because I'm jealous about the fact that he's gone on this holiday. It's more so because of, I know my own habits. I know I like to do activities when I'm on holiday. I don't like to sit in and just sit by a beach. I'd like to experience the kind of adrenaline that he experienced at the top of, I love speed, for example. I just like doing things at a fast pace, especially driving, but we won't talk about that.
Yeah.
But
So you need to slow down?
I need to slow down. And that excited me. So learning from other people's experiences, not just because you saw a pretty photo that might just be a little bit edited and you thought, oh my God, that's bougie, so I want to experience that. Like,
has your expectations changed as you got older? You know, you're not far behind me.
You're ahead though, isn't it?
Yeah, but you're not gonna. yeah. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah. So, has your expectations changed as you got older?
There's so many scenarios where I've been disappointed by certain things. You know, not getting a job that I perhaps wanted. You know, either someone saying that you're not good enough for one reason or another, and my expectation has shifted, not to say that I can't do certain things, more so to say that actually these things are possible depending on how much you want it. And if you really, really want it, then this journey is going to be long. If you don't want it, then let's be honest, move on. Don't force it. I think there's been instances where I've had to learn the hard way that actually this isn't you. actually, this is something that um,
What specifically comes to mind?
relationships, let's say relationships, relationships is probably the biggest thing that comes to the forefront of my mind. It's like, actually, I like peace. I prefer peace. I don't like
You don't want war
chaos.
always.
Yeah, I don't like chaos.
Mm.
So as much as I've had 3 relationships in my lifetime, most of which have been in and around, on average, almost 3 years, for all 3 of those serious relationships. And my expectations for those relationships was marriage, kids, a lot of success around that as well for my own personal reasons, in terms of I'm going to be able to be the breadwinner, and I'm going to be the husband, I'm going to be the dad that's, I've got this, that, and the other with my family. So there's that expectation that way before I hit 30, I'm talking 2 years ago, maybe. Other than that, when I was in my relationship, even before that, I'm thinking to myself, I've already got the package. And when I'm 30, I'll be married, maybe not kids, but I'll be married and I'll be on the way. But then you learn things about yourself within those relationships. You learn things about yourself when you are getting to the next level as well. And you're starting to consider certain things. And I think pressure is one of the biggest things in life that can really impact a lot of people's decisions and a lot of people's thought processes.
Where does the pressure come from?
For me personally,
Or generally speaking?
generally, I think, again, it's outside sources. So it's like, for example, the conversation you might have with mommy, when are you going to get me a grandson? When are you going to get me a granddaughter? Which all seems very lighthearted. But unconsciously, when that birthday comes and you're looking at mommy smiling at you,
This is almost
my
time.
son, he's never giving me a granddaughter or a grandson. So, like, these things linger in your mind without them even meaning to. They're completely harmless, but they bottleneck and they fester. And it's just life. It's not like mommy or, maybe a manager might say to you, oh, you're not married yet. Just the reaction.
Yeah.
Oh, right, you're 30.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Really?
Oh, wait, you're still single?
How? Yeah.
So that these reactions, they kind of play on your mind. I know it has to be. I'm not gonna lie, it definitely has to be. I'm like, wait, why did you say it like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But deep down, there's a weird feeling of me not being worried.
Yeah. It's okay, it's gonna happen.
There's a weird feeling of me not thinking to myself, okay, like.
But I think there's also a part to play in that pressure coming from somewhere internal as well, because we also have these expectations about what life should be like. You mentioned the package, and there is this expectation as a 30-year-old man should have certain things in place.
Allegedly.
The unwritten rule book. A man must be able to provide. He should be able to, put food on the table and, have a nice home for his wife and kids. He needs to be able to be resourceful enough to be able to set up a family home that's run well. And
okay, so it's that then, isn't it? It's that.
Yes.
Because what's the knock-on effect of that? Oh, I can't get a good wife.
Because of what?
Because I can't provide a good home. So if I haven't got a good job by the age of 30, or if I haven't, forget about a good job, if I haven't figured it out by the age of 30, how can I have a girlfriend? How can I even begin to go on a date? How can I be even, when I'm on this date, how can I be focused on this beautiful woman that I'm on, beautiful women, woman, this beautiful girl that I'm on a date with, or beautiful guy, or whatever side you sit on.
Yeah. That was a very interesting slip there.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Beautiful.
No. I just had to cover everyone else, not
Alright,
me
okay,
personally.
okay, interesting.
Bro, do you know what? I realized when I said it, I was like, oh, sugar, I put myself in that fucking boat again. Sometimes, guys, I might have to stop doing that, you know. No. I'm always gonna infer to both. But, but yeah, I think that could be it. There's also an expectation that if you aren't living the life of a gnome, is it a gnome? Those people that just can be in their own village, doing their own thing, and not care about what's happening outside.
I thought a gnome was the little elf statues that
Maybe
look
it's
like
an
the
elf statue.
Snow White's little elves.
What those people that live?
Oh,
they
you
can-
mean you on about those hobbits?
I don't think I'm on about a hobbit still. I don't think hobbits exist, bro.
Oh, what were you talking about then?
I'm talking about the people that live outside of society. Like they can, almost like a monk, but not a monk.
Like Aborigines.
Nomads.
Nomads.
Nomads. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That was a good that was a
How
good
did I
one.
get
Yeah,
gnome?
that was a good one. Gnome.
Yeah,
I'm
gnome.
usually the one that's remixing.
Nomads. So maybe, yeah. We're calling them gnomes now.
No, yeah.
But yeah, like if you don't fall under that umbrella, or maybe just people care too much about the material things.
I think people, they're too married to like, outcomes. Oh, this needs to happen by this time. I need to have X amount of money in the bank before I can even think about, taking my love of my life on dates. She's not ready for me. So I just got to hope that by the time, I've got my bread up, she's going to still be single and then I can try and go for her. But I think that it's worth considering that life is always a continuous journey. You're never going to have it right when you think in your mind things will be right in the future. In that moment, when you arrive at that point, there's going to be other worries as well. And, we've been talking about growing in the context of being in a relationship with someone else. And when you are on that journey with someone, that's also a beautiful thing too. You don't have to be the finished article. You can become the finished article with someone. They're growing and you're growing. And if those values are completely aligned, then maybe your growth will be even faster because you're with someone that complements your way of being.
Do you know what was interesting? Because obviously we're both single. Last night, coming into this episode, I was thinking to myself, this overpopulation is beginning to affect my life. The reason why I say that is because some of the dates I've been on, I've looked at my date and I thought to myself, and maybe this is a bad thing, maybe it's a little bit of an insecurity on my part, but I've thought to myself, you're already thinking about the next date. Because of the accessibility of how many of us are around. Does that make sense? Like there is just, I suppose there's just so many people that don't value the moment of where you're in. So like when I'm on the date, I'm like solely fixated on where could this possibly go. I'm not thinking about almost a checkbox exercise. So I'm thinking, actually, there's so much beauty and value in this woman that I'm on a date with. But I kind of felt like on the other side of the fence, there was a weird feeling of, you kind of know that you can go on another dinner date tomorrow or
With someone else.
with someone else. It's a possibility.
And
Not that
what-
that's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing and a bad thing. Because
Why is it a good thing and a bad thing?
obviously if you don't like what you like, you get to obviously, to a certain extent, cherry pick. Because you've got the online Tinder, Bumble, Plenty of Fish. What are the new ones? These are the ones back in my day. I'm not on it recently, so
They've got Bumble, Raya,
that's the one. Raya. Then there's another one, Hinge.
Hinge, yes, Hinge, another one.
So yeah, all these dating apps make it literally. There's more fish in the sea, which is the age-old thing. But imagine the process of being limited. Like, imagine if there was like a limit on the amount of dates you can go on if you limited yourself. Because to be honest, with my time, I'm not trying to go on a lot of dates. I don't do that anyway. So when I go on the one date, I get really disappointed if it's not a great date in the sense of both parties, not just for myself. I get really like,
What quantifies as a bad date for you?
what quantifies as a bad date for me? This is gonna sound mad. I can't see a future with the girl.
I think that's real, isn't it?
Yeah, but when I said it's gonna sound mad, it's just like because I'm thinking so far ahead.
Yeah, well, that's it. You should do that. You're assessing the opportunity.
I thought you were gonna say you're almost done at 30.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, but that for me is like, oh damn, like I can't. It's that moment. I just think to myself, you kind of. I think it's more of the understanding. There's an understanding between two people, right? And you get like a vibe of, yeah, this person's a great energy. And for the most part, a lot of the dates I've been on recently, I've been like, okay, I can see something. But then there's like a moment where I'm like, yeah, you don't get it. I'm like, yeah, you just don't. You don't understand it. And obviously, I think, because for the most part, we're in two different worlds, which is a shame. But
how much time should you give someone?
How much time should you give someone? That's an interesting question, because I've probably gone on one date and I've just been like, but I actually
a sign that you know what you like.
No. Because when I've critiqued I'm saying no, like, but I'm when I've critiqued myself in that situation, I think maybe if I went for a second date. So I've also considered that I'm part of the problem in that sense. I'm still getting to grips with the whole dating world. I'm still getting to grips with the process. I've gone on one date and I'm not giving the second one a chance. I think I learned that one from Hitch. I'll be honest with you, but
interesting.
Yeah,
a couple tips from Will Smith. That's a good movie as well. Isn't it?
Yeah. It's a fantastic movie, bro. I'm learning.
Yeah,
but like it's in the context of turning 30. Like, it's a pressure. I'm going into these days thinking, damn, and I'm like. The more and more I think about it, look at the other side of the fence, because I know obviously women physically have a clock. They have a clock that they have to consider in terms of whether or not they want a family or not. Obviously, we don't have the same, from a science point of view, we don't have the same thing that the women have to consider in the sense of, oh, I need to have a child by the age of X. Obviously, yes, they can freeze their eggs, but that can be very expensive, and financially that can be quite crippling. But that's an option.
Mm.
Not for many people, not for the masses.
Mm.
I don't know whether they could finance it or not, but who knows? For the most part, I look at both sides of the fence and I'm thinking, wow, are we just supposed to settle for being single? Are we supposed to just settle for the idea of I've hit 30 now. Don't worry about it. If it happens, it happens. Because I'm not a believer of chasing a relationship as well. I'm not a believer of, when most people go into new year, new me, it means I need to have a girlfriend by the end of the year or boyfriend by the end of the year, or I need to have this, and then, it doesn't happen and all hell breaks loose again and they say the same thing the following year. Like I'm not one of those people. Like if I beat someone, brilliant, we go down the process of finding love and being together forever and ever, ever. And that's another thing I think as I've grown older, I've had that mindset that slightly shifted. When I was younger, I was hella romantic. I was like, bro, next year I need a queen on my arm and I need this, that, and the other.
An interesting one, because I would agree with you one way and say that there's no point being in a hurry. When it happens, and there's no point chasing relationships. But there's also the side of me who has one eye on turning 30, the side of me that looks at how many years have I actually got left on this earth now.
How do you know that, though?
And that's exactly, you don't know that.
Yeah.
And you were talking about pressure. And I think that brings a form of pressure with it. Just being conscious of, the briefness of our lives. The fact that we are only here for a limited time. So what are you going to do the time that you do have? And
this is going to be an interesting question. I'm going to hit you with one then.
It reminds me of this. There's this. We didn't relate to any quotes today, but there's one in Stoicism. I think it was one of Marcus Aurelius' meditations. It was Memento Mori.
Oh, yeah. What does that mean?
It's a reminder to reflect on on the shortness of life. And if you can think about the fact that we're not here forever when you're going through these really serious situations, then it can just make you sometimes just contextualize what you're going through and be like, look, you're not going to worry about this when you finally do get married and you finally do have kids, or when you finally do get the successes that you're looking for. When you finally understand who you are as a person. Well, I think that for me personally, that's one of my biggest takeaways from this last decade, which is not yet over. We've still got a couple months left. It's is that I'm getting better at understanding who I am.
100%.
And I'm still learning. I'm still going through that journey, and I'm just looking forward to the next chapter as well. And still trying to be present whilst this one's unfolding in front of me, because you don't want to be completely locked in the future, and then you miss your life that's happening right in front of your eyes.
It's interesting. My therapist, one of my therapists, not my therapist currently, but my therapist in the past, had said that to me, that you can put so much pressure on what you want to do moving forward, the plans, and forget to appreciate the moments, forget to actually appreciate the present. You think about the future and what you're trying to achieve in the future so much that you don't celebrate the wins. You don't celebrate the wins with those people that you love around you. You actually don't, you slowly start to not appreciate those loved ones around you. you slowly start to lose sight of what's important because you are so fixated on the future. And I thought that was really powerful. And I think as I've got older, I remember having a young man's an immature mindset of my partner or my situation needs to be really perfect and really beautiful and needs to be this checkbox exercise. But I think the real beauty and the real value is actually really appreciating those small moments within that moment, within that person, within the individual, within the thing that you're trying to do and the things that you're trying to achieve, whether or not it's a loss or a win. And I think that's what people lose sight of. Like I know there's so many dates that may not. There's so many people are going to pick on that. I don't literally mean there's so many dates because I don't go on that many dates in general. So I need to actually clarify that. But there are dates that I've been on that have been really, really successful. In my eyes, even though I've not actually been in a relationship with them. And what I mean by that is that I've had really, really good conversations. I've learned so much from the actual individual that I'm on a date with. That person's really opened my eyes. You might ask me why I'm not with that person. For the most part, sometimes it's not even my decision. I might not have been right for her. But for whatever reason, I've still taken away so much from that individual. There's so much to learn. There's so much beauty in that person. And I think when we get closer and closer and closer, for those people who are far away from the age of 30, and God bless you, but as we are getting closer and closer to that age of 30 and beyond, God willing, there's so much to appreciate still, regardless of whether or not we are still single, because we are still single, regardless of what we may have or may not have achieved yet. I think one thing that we haven't touched on is the fact that we are healthy. That's one of the biggest things that we value, which is something that keeps me happy. I don't necessarily need to be with anyone as long as my family's healthy, I feel healthy, and the people around me are happy. Yes, obviously I want to be happy as well, but that's a huge part of what makes me happy. So when I hit 30, I would like to think that even if I'm single, or maybe if I'm in a relationship, regardless, I'm still going to appreciate the small moments that led me up to being a 30-year-old man. The new form of Teddy in a new age, looking forward to whatever the next decade will have for us moving forward. But moreover, I actually think I'm just looking forward to like the learnings that I'm gonna have, because we've learnt so much, so much.
There's still much more learning to do.
Yeah, definitely. What's your act of gratitude? What are you most grateful for now that you are coming up to a new milestone, a significant milestone in your life? What are you most grateful for?
I'm grateful for all of the experiences that have made me who I am today, and I'm really grateful for some of that pressure that makes things happen as well. You know, that pressure that makes deals happen, that pressure makes diamonds, you know, and it's learning how to harness that force you might be feeling externally and just transforming it into energy that works for you. And I'm grateful for being able to manage my expectations, you know, and update them, because some of those expectations also have limiting beliefs behind them. So like I'm also grateful for going through this journey where I've been breaking those limiting beliefs, which also changes my expectations. I think that everything that encompasses, you know, that journey of turning from a 20-year-old to a 30-year-old man you know, the wins, the losses, the travels, the breakups, the change in jobs, the losing loved ones, making new connections, starting a podcast, everything. It's been beautiful. And I wouldn't change anything, and I would do it all over again in the exact same way, because it taught me lessons that I would never be able to learn if I didn't go through the journey in that way.
That's amazing, and I think you couldn't have said it any better. I honestly think that gratitude that you have there is incredibly powerful, and I hope that most people at home, when they're listening to everything that you're grateful for, can really understand the power in the detail of what you said, because it's not just about I'm gonna wake up and give thanks and just randomly give thanks, because it's more about really picking out the subtle details of your life, which can be hard sometimes. Because I know for a fact, as you've kind of alluded to, when you're hitting 30, so much happens. You have loss, you have gain. It's a roller coaster. It's always going up and down. It's never, yes, you do have your steady parts, but depending on what you're into, it's kind of, it does, life does hit you with so much unexpected things that can be really mentally straining. And to have, one of the things I'm certainly grateful for is to really have good people around me that's able to help me through those moments, because I don't think I would know where I would be without you, mommy, my real close people around me, my friends, my family. So that's one thing I'm going to add to your acts of gratitude, actually, because I think for the most part, for everyone that I can think of in the last decade, have still stayed the same. Yes, there's been new people that have been added to my life specifically, but the key people are still there, and I'm really, really grateful for that as well. So thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. Did you have
No, I said that's
no,
beautiful.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And I would really love to hear what you are grateful for, and any pressures that you guys are feeling leading up to whatever milestones you have going on in your life as well. Because it's not just the age of 30 that sometimes scares people. I know I had a slight scare, but I think we're fine, aren't we?
Yeah, you'll be all right.
We'd be good. So thank you very much for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, as I said, comment with your acts of gratitude, and tune in next time. Thank you.